Hey Calculus kids, this is Dr. Callahan for week 3 Wednesday. I hope you guys had a good 3-day weekend. So pause the video, you guys have 3 questions here. Okay, so looking at this right here, you guys do have access to your Math Excel up to week 7. Okay, so keep that in mind. They are also due on the following Sunday. So for example, if you look over here, it is always due on like the 20th, 27th, and the 4th of October by 11 p.m. If you have any difficulty with the Eastern Pacific time, that has been changed, so you are good to go. If you still need to go ahead and access your week 1, 2, and 3 Math Excel homework, it is available. I am not going to have those due until this coming Sunday, so that way you guys have a little bit of extended time if you're having difficulty logging on. Another thing you need to do is make sure you log on to My College Board. This is the link right here to it. Most of you guys probably already done that because in order to have your test in May for AP Calculus, you will need to have access to this link. Everything is going to be ordered electronically online, and this is a class code. All of your assessment for this class is either going to be on Math Excel, AP College Board, or it could be in a pencil paper format in this class. So the last class, you guys had some stations that we were going over. And I know there were a couple of questions that people had issues with, one of which was on station number 3. So let's go over station number 3 with the first question. And the reason why that one's kind of difficult is because you have actually 2 fractions, one stacked up on top of each other. Okay, so let's take a look at this. First thing to do is I'm going to focus on the numerator right here. So the 3 over 2 minus 3 over x minus 1. You want to go ahead and have a common denominator. So let's do x minus 1 here, x minus 1, and then a 2 right there. Okay, so once that's done, you should have a 3x minus 3 minus 6 over 2 times x minus 1, which simplifies down to 3x minus 9 over 2 times x minus 1. You should also notice that in the numerator, you can factor this a little bit further by taking out a 3. In the denominator right here, you want to ask yourself, what times what gives me 2x squared? So that'll be 2x and x. And then what times what gives me a negative 3? That'll be 1 and negative 3. But when I cross multiply this and I add them together by combining like terms, it should give me the middle number, which is a negative 5x. So now that I have that, I know that my factorization here will be 2x plus 1 times x minus 3. So now let's go ahead and try to combine everything together. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with 3 times x minus 3 over 2 times x minus 1 divided by this right here. But I'm going to change it to a multiplication, so it's going to be 1 over 2x plus 1 times x minus 3. And lucky for you, that cancels. So that means you can try the limit again, because before with direct substitution, it will result in a 0 in the denominator. So then I'll have a 3 on top, 2 times 2 here, times 2 times 3 plus 1, which is a 6 plus 1. That's a 7. So 4 times 7 is going to give me a 28, 3 over 28. And that is your answer. Trying to figure out how do I get rid of this thing. All right, so let's go ahead and try that one more time. Okay, there we go. Now it's gone. All right, so for today, you guys are going to go over the following, okay? You're gonna start off with a practice on decimals. This is a link right here. If you go ahead and type that in, be careful with the capitalization because it does require capitalization on this. You should see this part right here, okay? So here are the questions, and there are 17. So I want you guys to go ahead and make sure you complete this. When you're done, you can go ahead and email it to me at incallahan@washoeschools.net. And just be careful with the capital G, capital U, capital Z, lowercase f, capital Y. Okay, next, you're gonna go ahead and take a look at the slide right here. I want you guys to go ahead and practice with these 8 problems using analytical. Remember, some of the strategies that you have is that you don't want to have a 0 in the denominator. So do the conjugate, do factor, and hopefully you can cancel the denominator with that. Let's go ahead and try one together. Let's try number 2. And number 2, you should automatically see that this is a cube factorization, which is going to be a cubed minus 3, or b cubed. So for question number 2, we're going to go ahead and do this based on the factorization. And as I'm looking at this right here, you have b cubed, which is only equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And you should notice that this part right here in the numerator is the match that. You have to be a little bit fancy with, the way that you kind of envision this. But if I rewrite this, I will have x plus 3 squared minus 3, cubed minus 3 cubed. So that we match this, you should realize that a is equal to x plus 3, b equals 3. So now that you have these two things, fill out this equation, which is equal to a minus b, that's x plus 3 minus 3, times a squared, so that's x plus 3 squared, plus a times b, that's going to be 3 times x plus 3, plus b squared, which is 3 times 3, and that's 9. This is your numerator written out using the cube factorization. One thing that we have here is we can cancel the positive 3 and the negative 3. So x is now by itself. And remember, this entire thing is over x. Now this x is what was kind of screwing us over to begin with, because as x approaches 0, that denominator becomes a 0. But now I can actually cancel that denominator. So that cancels, and I'm left with x plus 3 squared plus 3 times x plus 3 plus 9. So let's try the direct substitution one more time. If I plug the x approaches 0, I will have 3 squared. Okay, come on. Plus 3 times 3 plus 9, which is a 9 plus a 9 plus a 9, and that is going to give me a 27. Okay, next example. Looking at this right here, if you do direct substitution, you will have a 25 minus 25, which is going to give you a 0 in the denominator. So I would say let's try to use the conjugate of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 5 minus square root of x times 5 minus square root of x, because you can multiply anything by 1. So I will have to go ahead and FOIL the numerator. So 5 times 5 is going to give me 25 first. Outer is going to be a negative 5 square root x. Inner is a negative 5 square root x. Last is going to be a positive x, because the square root of x times the square root of x is just going to result in x. outer, inner in this situation. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Plus, sorry. So that's going to be actually inner minus outer plus. See, I knew they were going to cancel. If it wasn't going to cancel, something's wrong. That's going to cancel, and then you're left with 25 plus x on the numerator. So I'm going to do 25 plus x over, looking at this part here, oh, and now I'll actually make this into a negative, because a negative square root of x times a positive square root of x, because I had to change that because I didn't put a plus, I put a minus, is going to be a negative x. And I knew that because I'm like, this is not canceling with my denominator, which is really messing me up. Your denominator stays exactly the same. You don't want to FOIL it because then you won't be able to cancel the numerator and denominator here. 5 plus square root of x. So then this part cancels. You're left with a 1 on top. As x approaches 25, you're going to redo your limit. 1 over 5 plus the square root of 25, which is just 5 plus 5, which is going to result with 1 over 10. And that is your answer. Okay, so we did number 2, number 3. I'm going to have you guys practice with 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 4. If you're ready, here are my answers for number 1, answers for number 2, answers for number 3, number 3 right here, and the answers for the following. All right, guys, make sure you guys go over some of the extra practices. I'll see you guys next time.